Alright, what's going on, fight fans? As much as we try to stray away from the numbers talk with me, we always have to come back around to it because a lot of every little bit of news that we hear about boxing today is about the numbers, okay? It just is, you know. This is why the fans discuss it so much, because the fighters are discussing it. They're using it as an excuse not to fight, you know, or, you know, the promoters are always going to talk about the numbers. You know, it is what it is. This is what the sport has come to today, and unless it goes back to network television like Al Heyman is trying to do, the discussion is always going to be about the numbers. You know, what are the numbers? What are we getting? How many views are we getting and stuff like that? So it's always going to come around. Now, recently, Oscar De La Hoya said that he thinks Miguel Cotto against Canelo Alvarez will do 2 million pay-per-view buys. Obviously, Oscar don't believe that himself, okay? Oscar is a promoter, and he is willing to say anything to sell a fight. He is thinking about trying to put the fight together on Cinco De Mayo weekend, wants to get the Mexican holiday back, and, you know, that it belongs to Canelo, and Floyd has taken he's been using that weekend for his fights for a long time now. And he wants that holiday back. Great idea, you know. Only problem is the two fighters that are fighting that day, or the two fighters that he's trying to get to fight that day, both were beaten by Floyd. Another problem is neither one of those fighters have sold anywhere near 2 million outside of fighting Floyd Mayweather. Okay, Canelo has been fighting a couple of pay-per-views now. He has 300K, 350K for his couple of fights. Cotto, at best, had 600,000 for the Margarito fight, okay? He had a lot for the Pacquiao fight, but that's Manny Pacquiao. Let's just exclude Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. We're talking Cotto, where Cotto fights where he's the bigger star. You look at the Margarito fights, he sold 600,000 for the Margarito fight. The second one, I mean, the first fight was like maybe 475,000, I believe. And, you know, what other fight he had? The Sergio Martinez fight, which was recent. I can't remember the numbers, but they weren't like something. I think it was 350,000 in that fight. So these guys are just not pulling those type of numbers, all right? I would love to see the fight, and I honestly believe that there's no fight that Floyd Mayweather can put together that will be bigger than a Canelo Alvarez Miguel Cotto fight, unless it's Manny Pacquiao. And in my opinion, I'm not even sure if I want to see that fight over the Miguel Cotto Alvarez fight, you know, because at this stage in the game, both of them are on the decline, in my opinion, and I would have loved it if they had fought a few years ago. Now, not saying that don't matter, because I still want to see it bad, and I would pay for that fight. Obviously, I would pay for it, but it's just, I love the Cotto, like Cotto coming off of his biggest win, and, you know, Alvarez is, you know, still not undefeated, but he's still been, you know, performing pretty well in his last few recent fights, even though I thought he lost against Lara. Lara didn't clearly beat him. Lara underperformed, in my opinion. I think Canelo did the most that he could do, and I thought Lara was the guy that underperformed in that fight, because I thought Lara was going to dominate Canelo. But as far as the Canelo Alvarez fight, I love the fight, man. It's a great fight, and I think it's even a greater fight now because of Cotto's recent performances, all right? Him and Freddie Roach seems to have something good going, and we're seeing the best of Cotto back again, and I love that. And now, like I said, these guys are just not selling those kind of numbers that Oscar De La Hoya is talking about, and it would be a struggle for them to go 1 million, let alone 2. I don't even think they would go 1 million. I think tops they would go 700, 800,000 if they were to fight each other. Okay, and that's on a separate night. I think them trying to take the date, it's a bad idea for both ends. I think the doozy is a lot of the Hispanic fan base and a lot of the hardcore fans would pay to see Cotto and Canelo fight over Floyd fighting, because if Floyd is not fighting Pacquiao, that is, they would pay. But a lot of those people, it wouldn't have its full potential, because a lot of people will still be paying to watch Floyd fight, especially the casual fans. People that watch Floyd fight and pay for the fight just because it's a great reason to throw a fight party, and opposed to a Cotto Canelo fight. You know, I know myself, and I'm not just speaking for myself, but I know I personally throw fight parties, and when I throw fight parties, you know, if they find out Floyd is fighting, they'll be here. If it's for Canelo and Cotto, people will come just because I'm throwing a fight party, not really to see the fight. Then at the same time, in bars and stuff like that, you know, people are just not knocking down bar doors to go see Canelo and Cotto, because a lot of people don't really know who they are, or they do, but not enough to go see the bar to the bar to watch the fight. You know, if Mayweather is fighting and a flyer is there, people will go and watch the fight, because everybody knows when Mayweather and Pacquiao is fighting. Even though Cotto and Canelo are pay-per-view draws, they're like, you know, they're not like the superstardom. They're not in the elites. You know, the elites are like Oscar, Tyson, you know, Mayweather and Pacquiao. You know, those guys. They're more on the, you know, the guys that's in the thousands, you know, the 100,000s, but not super big. You know, like even Cotto's older fights. You know, Cotto had 475K against Margarito in the first fight, and then in the rematch it was 600,000. I believe that was his biggest pay-per-view outside of the Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fights. You know, and those are great numbers. I mean, Canelo has yet to even reach that yet on his own. But look how big that fight was. You know, is Canelo and Cotto really bigger than what the Margarito fight was, the rematch was, after everything that's happened? You know, look at Cotto lost the first fight, and then we found out that Margarito was going in with loaded gloves against Shane Mosley. You know, all the build up of the second of that rematch was crazy, and that did 600,000. I don't know if they can do that with Canelo, you know, and if they can, I think it would be around even on what the second Margarito fight was. So I love to see the fight happen. It's just that these guys haven't earned that Cinco de Mayo date. All right, they had the opportunity to earn those dates. That date, they both lost to Floyd. All right, Canelo lost to him most recently, just last year. And as much as it makes sense for them to get that holiday, unfortunately, Floyd has it until he retires. You know, I just don't see it happening. All right. Another option, which will never happen. Okay, I'm just bringing it out. What if they were to fight all on one card? You know, Floyd, what if he fights Amir Khan or whoever? You know, if he fights Amir Khan, why not have the Canelo and Cotto fight as well? It will never happen. But if they want to do something like, let's just say like, pay-per-view right now is like $75 if you pay for it in HD. If they were to make it $80 or $85, you get Floyd Mayweather against whoever and Miguel Cotto and Canelo Alvarez on the same card. You know, if they want to increase it for this fight alone, I would pay $100 to see that card. That's an amazing card. You know, I would do it. You know, I don't know how many other people would do it, but I would do that. You know, but I know that if they were to have both fighters on, all these fighters on one card, it would be a catch, and I know the catch would be they would even up the price of the pay-per-view from $75, because we get $75 now to watch Cotto, to watch Canelo against Angulo, you know, and with a weak undercard at that. All right, because everybody backed out of their fights. So that's just, I just wanted to give you my thoughts. I mean, I love the fight, but it's unfortunate that numbers is what is always going to be the issue here. And right now, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And I think Cotto should have some type of match leading before that. I know Tito Garcia said on here that is a good possibility that Quillin vacated his belt because they offered him the opportunity to fight Cotto early next year. I would love that if that's true. I mean, that's more of that's a great opportunity for Quillin, and I see why. If there was a reason, if there was something else planned going, obviously something was planned when he decided to vacate the title, not fight Matt Korobov. But if that was the plan, that would be a great plan. It's just that I don't consider that a tune-up for Cotto. Okay, that's a serious fight right there for Cotto, especially Quillin is a very big guy. All right, this guy Quillin is like 190, 200. He walks around in that way, right? Dude's not no real 160, no real middleweight. He just could get down to the weight pretty good. But I would love to see that fight. But for a tune-up leading into Canelo, I don't know, man. I really don't know. So anyway, I'd rather them just split. I'd rather them not take money from each other if they try to have pay-per-view head-to-head. I'm just tired of numbers being the excuse of things. So I'd rather them not do things like that, because right now it's like numbers is always the issue in the sport. And if they were to go head to head and the pay-per-view numbers are bad, I know a lot of people say who cares what the numbers are, but I actually do care what the numbers are, because if the numbers are good, then it's better for the sport. The sport is making money. The fighters are making money. The promoters are making money. Everybody is eating. Everyone is making money. So I do care what the numbers are. I do want these numbers to be successful, because when they're not successful, then these guys makes all these type of adjustments, and sometimes these adjustments aren't good. Okay, so I want the numbers to be good, and I would rather them have a fight on separate nights instead of battling each other, because everyone will lose. They will take money out of Floyd's pocket, and they will take money out of Miguel Cotto's and Canelo's pocket. All right, so that's my thoughts on that situation, and make sure you guys leave comments and subscribe to the channel. Peace.